Hey Jackal! In this video I'll show you how to make this zoom effect that uses a 3D cube, and to make it a little bit slow it looks something like this. Now let's get digital. So I'll be using these two clips, this one and this one. I'll go into the middle of them, go to the effects. You can use any transition that you want. I'll simply use the cross dissolve one, put it on, right click on it, convert this into a fusion cross dissolve, because this is the easiest way to make the transition, and you can now right click again and open it in the fusion page, or you can go to the inspector tab and click on this button to also open it in the fusion page. Now inside here we have the media in 1, which is the first clip, the left one, and the media in 2, which is the second clip, which was the right one. And this is the cross dissolve effect. If I double click on it, you can see that it contains just the dissolve. And if I ungroup this, it is just a dissolve node that goes from 0 to 1. But we won't be using this one, so I'll simply delete it. Now to make this effect, we'll be using the 3D nodes. You can use this with the shape 3D node, connect it, and make this into a cube. We'll need a camera to view it, and render node to actually see it. In the camera 3D, we can go to the transform and adjust the z-axis value. I'll just do it like this for now so that you can see how it looks like. And after the shape 3D node, I'll use a bender node. Shift space to open the select tools, type in bender and edit. In the bender node, we'll be using the z-axis, select taper and adjust the amount. So this is how this looks like. And if we display this in the 3D space with the bender node selected, this is how this looks like. So this is what the cube is actually doing. We'll have to adjust the camera position. If you want to have the same aspect ratio, what we need to do in the shape 3D node is unlock the width, height and depth. You can either change the width to be 16 divided by 9, or you can leave the width to 1 and go to height and go 9 divided by 16. Why these two values? Because the video clips are usually in the 16 by 9 ratio, be it 1920 by 1080, 2560 by 1440, or if you have a 4K resolution. We can now go to the camera and adjust the Z value, but this won't be the final position, as you'll see in a bit, because this will depend on the bender values that we'll be using. So in this case, something about 0.227, this is the smallest image that we get with the bender, so then we have to adjust the camera position again. Maybe something like this, let's see. No, we still have some issues, so we still need to make some adjustments. Go to the bender again. We still do get some transparency, so we need to fix that. So about 1.66. Now we can do the actual animation, and what I'll do, if in case we'll be changing anything in the shape 3D node, we can use a merge node at the end and simply connect the camera to the merge. Otherwise, if we do any kind of movements here, the camera will actually be moving with that. So the image would always look the same. But because we've now separated the camera from the actual composition, we can do anything we want with the composition here. So now I'll be animating the bender node. I'll go to the beginning and decide on the animation what it will do and how it will look like. So the value will be 0.3. This will be the default value. So I can keyframe this at the beginning and at the end. Then what I will do is move the image a little bit in. So maybe about 0.25, and I'll do the same here. I'll keyframe this value 0.25, and then frame 14, this is where the image will go in. So basically all the way in to 0, and then it will come back out again. I'll have to purge the cache, go to playback, select re-enter cache as none, and I will also right click here and disable high quality so that I can actually live preview this. So this is how this looks like with just the original media in. What we want to do is change the image, so when it comes to this point, we'll get media int 2. To do that, we'll use the dissolve node, so shift space again, dissolve node, connect the media in to the background and media to the foreground and connect it to the shape 3D node. Now we have to move the background and foreground from 0 to 1. If I keyframe this at 0 for frame 14 and 1 for frame 15, the change is a little bit abrupt, as you can see. I don't want that. What you can do is right click here and go to modify width, anim curves, and by default, when you click on the modifiers, the source is set to transition. So you can have the transition like this. This will blend it in. From the start to the end, it goes linearly from 0 to 1. So you can have this kind of a transition. I don't want that. What I actually wanted to do is have the 4 sides separate and have only the center image change. To do that, I'll simply remove the anim curves from the dissolve node, and I'll also change the shape 3D node, because to do that, you don't use the shape 3D node. You use the cube node. So type in cube, and you'll have a bunch of inputs. Now you can connect this dissolve node to all of the nodes, and you will get a similar result. But to get the result that I want, I just want to connect the dissolve node to the front, which is the green input, and the other connections will be the media in, except for the back, because we don't need the back, as the back is never visible. Now as you can see, we do have the cube, but it's a little bit different than the one from the shape 3D node. We'll have to go to the material, select the faces. As you can see, all of them have some color applied. All of them you'll have to change to white color. And because the back is never visible, I also didn't connect it. Now in the controls, you'll also want to unlock the width, height and depth. Do the same changes as before. We can simply go to the width, do 16 divided by 9 to get the resolution that we have. Let me switch this around because it has to be this image. Now at this point, I went into the camera 3D node and adjusted the Z values again, so that we get the whole image at the bottom. Otherwise, I only saw the sky. And why is that important? Well, it's important for this step, at least how I wanted it to do. So I have the center image here. I will leave it as is. This is the front. So I'll leave this one as is, but I'll flip all of the sides around. So I'll do that with the transform node. Simply drop it in. So this is the bottom one. So I have to flip this one vertically. This one is the top. This one is also flipped vertically. And these two, the sides, will be flipped horizontally. So now you get this cool kind of effect. And when the image comes into the center point, this is where we'll do the animation. So in the dissolve node, I will now keyframe the value at 14. This will be 0 and it will change at frame 15. So this is now how this will look like. Now this is almost done. You can go to the render node, go to settings and apply some motion blur. 2 is usually good enough, but you can go for 4 if you want to have even smoother edges. At this point I won't apply it because I still have to show you one thing. What you can do is add another bender node. So let's add it. And this time what you can do is you can use the twist to twist it around the z-axis, make it spin. As you can see, this spin is now blocky, which is not nice looking. So what you'll do, if you want this effect, is go to the Cube 3D and adjust the subdivisions for the depth. By default it's 40, but you can still increase this value if you want, but this actually won't be visible if you apply the motion blur, as you can see. Even if the value is 2, it's not noticeable. So you can either use the motion blur or you can increase the values of the subdivisions. Now if you would want to animate this, how I would do it is I would keyframe this value to 1 in the middle and go from 0 at the beginning and 0 at the end. Let's see how that would look like with the motion blur disabled. So you can have an animation like this one, but I want to show the cube, so I will leave this blender node out. Now the only thing that we need to do is to make it so the transition scales with the duration of the actual transition. And to do that, we'll go to the blender node, because this is the one node that we've animated, and we've animated the amount. So I'll right click on the amount, go to insert and select keyframe stretcher. Then go to the modifiers. Inside here, we'll simply type in source 0 and end is 29. So 29, and the stretch start and stretch end will be the same as the source and the source end, so 0 to 29. And the other values that we've animated were the dissolve. So I'll simply apply the same principle, right click, insert keyframe stretcher, 0 to 29 and 0 to 29. If I also use this blender node, I would also animate the amount, right click, insert keyframe stretcher and use the same steps. And now to make this into a template, I'll go first to the render node and apply the motion blur. Select all of the nodes that make the transition except the media out. Right click, make a macro. If you want to be able to change any of the options, in this case maybe I would enable the option for the motion blur. So this is in the render node. I can go to the settings, or in this case common, and find the motion blur, which is this, and we can now set the quality. So I will enable these two options. Then I'll simply go to File, Save as Group, click on Fusion, Templates, Edit, because this will be in the Edit page. This will be a transition, and give it a name, 3D Cube Zoom. Save it. If everything is as it should be, you will now see the transition inside the effects. Type in the name. We see it, 3D Zoom Cube. Let me add another media onto the timeline and put the transition here. So now when you click on the transition, you will have the motion blur and the quality adjustment. I'll simply disable it for now and go to playback and select render cache smart, so this renders out. And so you don't have to wait that long, what I'll also do is copy the transition, paste it here and extend its duration. So now let's take a look at the results. That one looks nice, and this one also looks exactly as I wanted it to be. Now this effect is done. You can also watch the video on how to make the flip page transition. It was done in a similar way using the 3D cube, but you can also go to my website to get this template and also the flip page template. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, jackals, keep it digital.